Hello.
Yeah, hello. Yeah, hello.
Hello.
So are we ready?
In about 3 minutes.
Okay, cool. How is everybody else joining? Because
YouTube.
okay. Did you share a link?
What?
Did you share a link?
Yes.
All right. Share a link with me here. Let me share it with some people that want to join.
Okay. Hello.
Yeah, I'm here. I'm fine.
Okay, so just wait for a bit to see. Wait for a bit for everyone to start. So
Yeah. So send me the YouTube link. I need to send it to people. Just send it here. Just
Okay.
paste it in the chat. Yeah. Also be wary of feedback because I can hear you in the feedback. You need to be wary of that as well. So maybe you mute that. Uh-huh. So have you sent it?
Yes, I have.
Did you email it or how did you send it?
Just check the chat.
Uh, oh yeah, I've seen it.
This is when Kena, she press here and she loses. Oh,
Okay. Hi, everyone. We would start in the next 4 minutes, please. Just bear with us. Thank you. Okay, we are ready to begin. Good morning, everybody, and welcome to United Capital's live session. My name is Bisola Iboren. I am your host for today. So just a brief background about United Capital. We are a financial services company and investment banking company, and we have a host of investment options cutting across several businesses: investment banking, asset management, securities, and trustees. So if you're interested in any of our investment options, you can check out our digital platform. It's called InvestNow. So that's www.investnow.ng. So the topic for today is the role of creative storytelling in branding. And we have a phenomenal human being today with us. His name is Obinna Okereke Ocha. He is a trained professional in everything creative-wise. So he's worked in advertising. He has worked as an art designer. He has worked in so many places. Currently, he is the creative director of Red TV, which is sponsored by United Bank of Africa, UBA. So without further ado, Obinna, how are you doing today?
I'm good. I'm good. How are you doing today?
I'm fantastic.
Great
You
to
look
be here.
good.
Oh, thank you so much. You look good yourself. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Okay, so Obinna, I
Yeah.
feel like I would be doing a disservice to my audience today if I don't ask the question everybody should be asking you right now.
Yeah.
Do you know what that is?
I'm guessing what could this mystery question? what could this mystery question be?
It's TMC. So the men's club,
I knew that. I knew that.
July 22nd.
Yes.
We
I'm
are
sure
all
you guys.
waiting.
I know everybody's waiting. Everybody across the world is waiting to
So I have to
feast their
ask.
eyes. Yes, please.
I
Go
know.
ahead.
I have to ask. So just for this audience, this little audience of ours, can we get any like any spoilers? Any insights? What should we
What can I
expect?
say? I can expect a little more complications around love. Expect a little
Ooh.
bit more drama.
Oh my God.
And expect some new and exciting faces that really get fans excited. So that's all I can say really. But
Okay,
it's going
fair
to
enough.
be triple the fun, triple the excitement, and watch out July 22nd and subscribe if you haven't subscribed to Red TV.
Fantastic. Oh, and thanks for reminding me. Everyone watching on YouTube, please remember to subscribe to our channel. So let's dive in.
Super.
Storytelling. I believe that on the most elementary level, the average individual understands the concept of storytelling. So whether it's the Tales by Moonlight you used to watch when you were a child, or sitting down with your grandparents telling you folklores, or even like those funny stories we shared in boarding school about Madame Coin Coin, or one of those weird stories. So we all have a grasp of storytelling, but you as a creative with so much experience in the business, what does storytelling mean to you? How would you describe it?
So essentially, storytelling is pretty much basic. It's pretty much an interesting way of taking one information and passing that information to another person. Now, this is called creative storytelling, what we're discussing today. So now the creativity or the art in that storytelling is pretty much how you transfer that information to a person or a group of persons. That's pretty much what it is. So it's a set of narratives, set of tales. Is engaged, and wants to listen to what you say. So in a nutshell, that is what the basic, definition of what storytelling is. I can also say it's an engaging way and manner in which information is passed, from one person to another person.
Okay. So in the context of branding and marketing communications, what's the relationship between storytelling and branding?
All right. So,
sorry, you're breaking up a little bit, Obinna.
Okay. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Exactly. So, branding and storytelling in the context of branding is pretty much simple. Like for a very long time, branding was essentially a collage of key values showcasing what your narratives that connect your brand to your customers. It's an engaging way of passing key messages of values.
Obina, I think we're losing
Branding,
you.
as we know it, yes, okay.
We're losing you.
Is it better now? Is it better
I can
now?
hear you now. Yes.
Okay. Like I said, for a long time, branding was essentially a collage of values. You talk about the brand promise, talk about what your product, can do for its customers. But there was something that was missing. Something was missing because those things are important. By the end of the day, are they enough to connect with your audience? So storytelling, as relates to branding, is essentially about a narrative or set of narratives that connect your brand to your customers. It's an engaging way of passing key information about your product to the world. So storytelling, as it relates to branding, just like we have it, for film, it also relates to the same thing for branding. So connection, it's about characters, it's about tension, it's about conflict, it's about result, and it's about outcome.
Oh, fantastic. Okay, so for brands, so outside of advertising,
Yes.
for other brands, for companies, organizations, what are the other formats of storytelling that can be explored? Because I feel like most people just think storytelling means advertising, and I believe there are other formats in which we can explore this. So what would you say?
Yes, absolutely. So now here's the thing. How can storytelling be explored by brands? And I give you a very simple scenario. Social media provides a wide canvas for you to be able to tell your stories. Take for instance, and why it is also important that your brand needs to be online is the fact that 71% of business to business researchers start their research with a generic search. So first of all, you need to be in the space where you can actually tell those stories. For instance, Instagram is something that it's a quick and simple tool that is free. A lot of people can actually utilize. Like 71% of 71% of billion people. Sorry, Instagram has about 1 billion monthly active users. 1 billion monthly active users. 71% of that billion are active users on Instagram are under the age of 35. Instagram users spend an average of 15 minutes per day. And 500 million Instagram accounts use Instagram stories. Now, just imagine the amount of people you can use just being able to craft your stories properly on social media. So the point here is that a format for which you can actually use storytelling is by employing social media, whether it's Facebook, whether it's Twitter, whether it's even Blogspot, or whether it's even writing a blog on your website. These are avenues by which you can tell the story of your brand, or you can tell intricate stories about what your brand does, what your brand is about. So that's a quick win for you. For brands who are interested in telling stories about their brand.
Okay. So you mentioned social media. So outside of social media, would you say there are other formats? So for example, I noticed quite recently that brands have kind of moved away from just promoting products. So before, all we knew was brands selling their market. So they're selling their products, their services, and that's all we see on TV. But there's been like a deviation where brands are now selling like stories, or they're trying to communicate their philosophies. For example, if it's Nike, right? Nike's philosophy or their slogan is just do it. And just from the slogan, you know what their philosophy is. It's motivational, it's inspirational. So what inspired that? Why are brands moving away from outrightly promoting their services or products to just telling stories that are reflective of their philosophy?
Now, so for a very long time, brands were pretty much absorbed with selling what it is that they do. So whether whether it's IBM selling computers to people around the world, whether it's Microsoft selling the applications of their devices, whatever it is, cars, car brands selling their cars. What took it to the next level was the human connection. You know, it's one thing to sell all these products and see all these great things, but if I'm not connecting with you, there's a disconnect. Say it as look at it this way: how you meet somebody, maybe a guy meets a girl for the very first time, and the guy is talking about how he works for a Fortune 500 company or how he makes X amount of money and things like that. But you see, those things are great, but there's something the other person is looking for to connect. So what has started happening is that through storytelling, brands are able to connect people where they want to be connected with. I'll give you an example. Spoke about Nike. You know, they've had great commercials and great campaigns, over the years around their products and offerings. I give you an example, and a critical example is insurance companies. Now, insurance is something that people are scared of because they don't really understand it. Sometimes you talk about mortality, you talk about a will and stuff like that. But here's what they do. They tell you that it's important that your unborn child needs to be taken care of. Who wouldn't want to take care of their unborn kid? They tell you that, you can actually send your kid to Harvard if you did X, Y, Z things. You want the best of life. So what they pretty much do is that they sell you the best of life. They tell you that, that 500, that 50 million naira just bought, the last thing you wanted to do is to end up somewhere in the 10 million bridge in the lagoon. No, they tell you that if you pay X amount of money, you can. But they find interesting ways to tell you that, look, a car is a key part of your life. A child is, the success of a child at an Ivy League school is what is going to bring joy to you. So they tell you that these are the things that matter to you, without necessarily telling you, hey, we're selling insurance, pay X amount of money. No. So that's an idea of how stories connect people, that kind of thing. They tell you, they tell you that, I give an example. I'm a Volvo. I love Volvo car brand. It's something I grew up in. They tell you that now if proposition of safety that regardless of how many times it provokes tumbles, nobody's going to die in it. So they sell you the concept of safety, that you are safe without necessarily telling you, hey, look, there are great alternatives, but hey man, I'm sure you love your life. Here's this brand. So these are examples, that this is much why there's been a paradigm shift from how brands usually engage and how they now use stories to actually push themselves, to letting people, connect with them. Now, and I can also mention here that, the great brands are the brands that live in our conversations. They become part of pop culture,
Like Coca-Cola.
Exactly, like Coke, like Netflix, for instance, now we've coined the phrase Netflix and chill. It's now part of the conversation. Some people may not even understand what Netflix is about, but they understand that it's a way to unwind. Now, when a brand can get to the point where it's in your conversations from a cultural standpoint, that brand connects, as opposed to telling you, buy Pirelli tires. Pirelli tires are the safest tires on earth, and they'll take you from point A to point B. No, people want the story that can connect. Like Pampers, for instance, they always open their shop with a lovely baby. Oh my God, who doesn't love babies and things like that? So things like that are the tiny little strings that make us connect with brands, and this is why it's been that paradigm shift. Yeah.
So, I have to ask. So, I understand the emotional connection. I understand that kind of leads to brand love and eventually brand loyalty, right? So, what I want to understand is more like in terms of the bottom line, return on investment. Are these brands actually getting their money's worth?
Yeah. So, I think one way to look at it is this. Ultimately, if brands connect with you, brands connect with you, and in that road of connection, there's something called trust. Trust is what every brand is looking for. Once customers, or clients or whatever it is, are able to trust your brand, regardless of what it is, they stick with you and they're ready to part. Ready to part ways with with their hard-earned cash because they believe in your brand and your brand's promise. So at the end of the day, it's really about being constant and being deliberate about your intentions and your strategy in trying to tell stories. I can tell you that on the road to success and return on investment, trust. Once you build trust pretty much, return on investment is pretty much a relative, or a relative to what it can do for you. So trust ultimately will bring success for your brand as much as possible, because at the end of the day, people would always put their money where they believe their trust lies.
Okay, so I think we've been talking about more established brands that have been, the big business, the ones who have been around for years. So I'm wondering, as a new business owner, I have a business. Let's say I'm selling handbags. I don't necessarily have a story because I just have a craft. I like to make bags and I want to sell them and make money. But then I want to connect with my audience. How do I go about this? How do I decide, like, what are the factors that determine what your storytelling strategy should be?
Okay, so I think the very first thing, so this comes to building a strategy for your business from a storytelling standpoint. I think the first critical step is asking the question, why? The first thing you need to ask is why. Why are you making those bags? There are 1,001 other bag brands, but why are you making that bag? What is the reason why you're spending time, you're spending resources, spending effort making that bag? If you're able to figure that out, it already creates a compelling story. Like, for instance, let me just give you an example of, let's just, see if we can come up with a strategy. Somebody, young girl who's after school, and she's probably looking for work and says, okay, you know what? I can do stuff with my hands. She learns bag making and she starts to make bags. An example of a compelling story could be, growing up, growing up, my mother never really had the best of bags, and she never really had enough money to buy very bags that she wanted to buy, because she had to spend extra hours spending time to work, doing menial jobs to send me to school. Now, I saw that as something inspiring, and this is what led me to create bags. I feel that I have been in a situation where I've seen people without bags, and I understand the importance of bags. This is why I'm making this product. Now, suddenly, anybody who is looking at it, listening to that story, said, oh my goodness, there's actually a story here. There's a connection here. We understand that, they are the really expensive brands, Fendi, Gucci, etc. But then again, you are connected to that story because of what it's about. So here's another thing I put together. Simon Sinek, a very accomplished author, says something in his famous TED Talk. He says, people don't buy what you do, they buy why you do it.
I love that.
What that simply proves is that, people, what you do, what you believe in, that gives you a clear insight into what should be at the heart of your brand storytelling strategy. So establishing why is important. Now, once you do that, you have a compelling story that you can begin to start with. And, as soon as you put that out, you put that out in whatever form you want to put that out. Because brand creative storytelling is not necessarily doing a TV ad campaign. It's not necessarily, in your Twitter post, in your Instagram stories, how you document and how you curate your experiences and how you document, the life cycle of that bag, from a visual standpoint and from an engaging standpoint. So these are little nuggets that make the difference. So let me go on. So there are brands that stand out in our living our conversations, brands that are central of culture that are part of our lives. Not all brands will get there, but the right stories is a great way to begin. Now, let me just read this out again. Something I put together. So here's the thing. There's a guy called Raymond Roca. He says that in one of his presentations, he says, consumers, not brands, are in control. They have the wealth of content resources vying for their attention. They don't listen to your brand. They can skip past your brand, your blog post. They can only pay attention when they find something meaningful to them. So always connect with your consumers on a personal level. Lead with the audience needs, and let the brand trail behind. So sometimes it's not every time you mention your brand in your stories. Give them a story, so you're pretty much leading them on, and your brand comes later. So when they start to ask questions, now everybody's now interested in discovering, what's this brand about? That kind of thing. So essentially that's my approach to how somebody, how you describe would pretty much kick off, not an established brand, kick off with their own storytelling journey, brand storytelling journey.
Okay, I like that. I actually like that direction. I've seen so many brands that you literally don't know what is being promoted. You're just enjoying the story, you're getting roped in, and before you know it, it's like, oh, hey, here we are.
It leads to a conversion. Yes, yes,
Exactly.
yes.
So
Yeah,
I like
yeah.
that strategy. So help me understand. United UBA is a financial services company, right?
Yes, yes,
And
yes.
UBA has come up with Red TV. I feel like the average Nigerian or African is thinking, what's the correlation? How does this
Okay.
help the brand? How does it enhance brand consumer relationship? So can you give us,
Okay.
being the creative director of Red TV, can you give us any insights
Yes.
on that?
Fantastic question. It's pretty much ties into what we've been talking about.
Mm-hmm.
It's that situation where brands and financial institutions in this context have realized that, look, for us to stay relevant, and for us to be seen as a progressive brand or progressive bank, whatever it is, we have to be a part of conversations of the younger generation, millennials. What are they talking about? Where do they like to party? Where do they like to be? Where do they like to hang out? Things like that. Now, things like that are explored using content marketing. And there's a time when about 5, 6, 7 years ago, when there was an explosion of content marketing, and everything around brands decided, look, whatever it is we're going to do, I think it is best communicated using stories. So, United Bank for Africa is a progressive, forward-thinking bank, and and at the top levels, they decided, look, content marketing is the way to go. If we're going to engage millennials, if we're going to get them to understand what the financial situation is about. Don't forget, this is a very experienced, a very 70-year decision that has come of age,
Yeah.
and now we have to transcend. The future is the millennials, younger people who are the trendsetters, trend spotters. Those are the people we need to engage with, actually. So this is pretty much a premise on which Red TV was born, to create a situation where the bank is totally seen, is seen in a totally different light, where we're able to, in a very subtle, appealing manner, showcase our products and services, inserting them in the content stories that we're creating. So it's a very easy way to engage. So, a young person, we're saying, oh, so rather than say, oh, come on, back to UBA, Africa's Global Bank and all that, just show you an episode of something or a play. In that way, you see how people in the story engage with products and services that are part of their lives. And you suddenly say, oh, hang on a minute, this is a very cool bank. I like what I'm seeing here. I don't know what's happening. So, guys, have you seen this series? I think it's great because it's part by UBA. And suddenly you start a different conversation about how cool your brand is, how that brand has become, or that entity has become part of your conversation. Let me just digress a bit. I was watching something. My colleague and I were watching something yesterday in the office, and it was about Apple. So what they did was they showcased a team working from home, and they were working on a project, and the project was to create a prototype for a circular pizza box. Now, this is totally different because here we are looking for how best to come up with ideas for a circular pizza box. But what they did was they showed us how all through that 10-minute short film, how Apple's products were key component in everybody's life. Your alarm is either on your iWatch or on your phone. You do your decks on an iMac or a MacBook Pro. So all that time. So the same thing goes for UBA. So you're looking for, you're looking to send money to your brother in school. Yes, 919. You need to send money to somebody using Leo. Doing huge transactions. So things like that. So what happens is that we take those experiences and those products and services and turn them to stories. That's essentially the space Red TV is playing in, and that's the impact that we've made. And I can tell you that there's been so much. I can tell you the perception has grown in leaps and bounds. Yeah.
Oh, I love that. Just for the viewers, please remember to send in your questions. Whatever questions you have for Obinna is here for the next 24, 30 minutes. And I'll treat them immediately. So just let me know. We have about 15 to 20 minutes to answer your questions. So we've we've spoken a lot about more. Okay, I think we should just talk about your personal experience, right? So you've been in the business for 15 years. You've been an art director, I believe. You are now the creative director of Red TV. You're at this point, you know everything it has to do with creative storytelling. So I want you to tell me any experience
I'm still learning. So
oh, we live and we learn.
yeah, I'm still so yeah, it's a continuous process. Yeah.
I like that. So
okay. Yeah.
I want you to give me an example of like a time where like this storytelling like helped the situation, you know, where it transformed a brand you worked on, or it doesn't even have to be your own experience. It could just be any experience you witnessed.
All through my career, and one I would mention. So there's a company called Travel Start. Travel Start is an agency that deals with travel agency. You want to go,
yeah.
I think it's guy, and they have a South Africa. This was back in earlier in my career, some time ago, not about almost 7-8 years ago. So they were looking at competition, like a lot of people playing that.
Oh wow, we seem to have lost Obina. I'm guessing he has network issues. I'll just wait for a bit until he connects. While we're waiting for Obina, please remember to send in your questions so that I think he's back.
Yeah.
Obina, are you here?
Yes, I'm back.
We can't see you though.
Okay. But you can hear me.
Oh yeah, welcome back.
Oh, great. So sorry about that. So yeah. So now what they wanted to do was
we're talking about Travel Start, right?
Differentiate them. Exactly. Travel Start was a company I worked on. So what they did, they came up with an interesting. So they had this challenge of how do we stand out, and how do we actually make ourselves heard in a crowded room using stories. So they came up with something called Ask Us Anything campaign. Now, typically around travel, there's a lot of service failure, in terms of, people didn't book flights on time, I wasn't able to get to my flight on time, or had a very nasty experience on the flight, etc. So they created a storytelling campaign that was pretty much around Ask Us Anything. So basically in the ad, you have people, so they created this ad where you have people calling in the travel agency to just ask them anything. So people call in and ask, oh, hi, excuse me, can I find the love of my life? You guys. Someone will ask, wow. Will I be able to ship my container through your airline? So that way, they created a situation where it was easy for them to talk to. So people felt at home asking them any questions. And bear in mind that this is a travel agency, that way they were able to open themselves up and, didn't take themselves too seriously. People were able to ask them a lot of questions, anything about anything, and they would answer. So you call up their, customer care service and say, look, where can I get best pizza around? I think they'll say, oh, okay, you can do it. So now what happened was that it now built their affinity with people. Now, when people call in and ask those questions, oh, by the way, you could book a summer flight vacation to Johannesburg and things like that. So they saw a surge in their sales for tickets. So that's a classic example. And it worked very well because it was a really, really successful campaign. A lot of ROI, a lot of engagement with the brand, a lot of, recall and brand engagement. So this is an example of, I had an exciting time working on that project because I was able to help them put that together. So it was really, really, it was a really, really an interesting example of how telling a story or, creating a situation where you can actually engage them, customers, without actually pushing your brand in your face, did a lot of, made a lot of difference, on your bottom line.
Okay. That's a cool story. What year did this happen? What year was this campaign?
This was about 2013. 2013. Sometime in 2013. Yes.
I'm just trying to picture what it played out like on social media.
Online, you can. It's on YouTube. You can check it out. Travel Start. Ask Us Anything. Yeah.
Okay, I'll do that. Remember to send your questions, guys. It'll be nice to here to answer them. So moving on, I think you've sort of said this already. New businesses who don't have the big budget, they don't have the budgets for for, you know, advertising and to shoot the big commercials or documentaries, you know. So how else can they relate with their audiences in terms of storytelling? How else can they tell the story? So if they just have social media, how do they use social media to tell their story?
Okay. So essentially, you know, like I said, a very quick win for small businesses is social media. Another one is email marketing, and these platforms afford you so email marketing and blogging. Sometimes ad blogging. They provide you with an avenue, a blank canvas to actually tell your stories. You know, and sometimes you don't have to have a big TV, you know, like 100 million, whatever, for a big TV spot or something like that, you know. Just telling a simple story of how your brand connects or how it can help them day-to-day, craft stories like that, you know, around it, and start small. That way, so your aim, first of all, is to make the world understand why you're doing what you're doing.
Yeah.
And once you start to garner the attention, it starts to grow. You know, sometimes there is no, you can hack it and, you know, put a lot of money and do sponsor ads and things like that. You know, that could work, but, you know, there's nothing like organic growth. Sometimes it's difficult, yes, because when in a short business, there are a lot of things. You're dealing with overheads, you're dealing with capital injection and things like that. But at the end of the day, you know, you need to take it, step by step and build a brand. Now, nobody trusts a brand that just shows up from anywhere and says, oh, you know, where were you guys yesterday? People like a track record. They want to go back and see how you built your momentum up onto the point where you are. You know, that's how, and again, consumers and, you know, people like it when they start with you and they grow with you. So always look at that, you know, think about that in your growth phase, when your company is starting or when your brand is kicking off or when your brand is being birthed. Consumers like to grow with their brands, you know, started with you, they have a sense, they feel that this is us, you know. So I think my simple subject, you know, simple advice would be for brands starting out, you know, harness all that is in front of you, use the best of it, you know. You're sending, you know, you're sending emails to your customers or you're chasing leads, tell stories, you know, tell interesting stories, you know. UBA started, you know, the great guys there's a great team in the marketing of UBA, you know, telling very, very, very great stories, you know, around our products and services. You know, you can check it out, you know, if you haven't seen it, you know. Now, another quick way to do it, again, is what I think is what's popular, riding on trends. So every day you open Twitter, there's something that's trending. Find an interesting way to get in that conversation and piggyback on that conversation in such a way that people see your brand. I'm not talking about spamming where you just get into every conversation and say, no. So you see a very serious conversation and say, oh, buy your custom made wigs. No, that's nothing. You have to be deliberate with a specific strategy around how you want to engage. So these are very, very, you know, simple nuggets that you can use for pushing your brand and telling great stories about your brand.
Okay, so we have some questions coming in. Let me just make sure I'm getting it right. Okay, so we have a question here, and this is from Kelechi, and he says, so he's talking about the current climate, the pandemic. Okay. So he's saying, what's your advice to filmmakers and advertising agencies alike who have shut down and cannot produce during COVID-19?
All right. Fantastic question. Yeah, this is something that's dear to me because I'm also a creator and I understood the challenges that a lot of people who are creative, it's not just filmmakers, you know, but photographers, you know, people who do any sort of creative work, you know, how the pandemic affected them. Now, opportunities have shifted. You need to go where the opportunities are relocated to. I'm going to say that again, opportunities have shifted. You need to go to where the opportunities are. I saw something on LinkedIn that truly struck me, and I also say, tip, if you really want to have a pulse of what's going on in the world, be an active member on LinkedIn, you know, grow your network, be there, you know, listen to the conversations. Now, what did she say? She simply said, look, a lot of people are losing their jobs. A lot of people, you know, are in situations that are hard, no income, etc. But you know that it is possible for you to propose a job function to a company that doesn't have it. All you simply need to do is to tell a story about how this role or this function that you have. First of all, you have done, just give you an example. First of all, you have done your homework about what the company is about, what they do, their offerings, their proposition, and things like that. Now, if you're able to do that, send them an email saying, you know, I feel I can offer this. This is what you have. This is what you're currently lacking. It can be done better to achieve X, you know. And there are examples of people who have gotten jobs like that. So what am I saying here? I'm saying you need to put yourself in a situation where you go around being deliberate about looking for the next opportunity, because opportunities are not just going to jump on your laps, you know.
Yeah.
Another example is scout the internet. There are now for some creatives know that there are sites where you can go to where you have daily briefs and you can get paid for those briefs. Now they're called crowdsourcing platforms where, you know, brands or, you know, clients are looking for creatives around the world where they can crowdsource, and you know, you send in proposal, send in your own treatment of it, you get paid. Now the examples, eweka.com, eweka.com is an example of a site where you can go to and you find daily briefs, you know, for either you're a filmmaker, you're a content creator, you know, places like that. Now there is an app called ArtStation. ArtStation is an app you can download. I think it's on iOS. I don't know if it's on Android. Where if you download, you get daily emails about where creatives are needed all across the world. So I think first of all, people need to remove the garb of playing locally and think about the fact that they can offer their brilliance and their skill to a wider global audience by harnessing technology. So you must always have your ears down on what's happening, you know, in the world. Subscribe to a lot of things on, you know, online. Now, also sign up for platforms where you can actually offer your services. Like there are platforms like Fiverr.com, Upwork, Truelancer. Set up profiles there.
I hope you guys are taking notes because it's giving us real gems right now.
You know, so, you know, Fiverr.com, you know, Upwork, Truelancer, where you can actually upload a profile and look for work. ArtStation will constantly give you jobs. Like I sign up for it, and I also help my you know, fellow creatives in my creative community. I say, look, guys, there's this great opportunity here. I think you should check it out. I give you one for free, right? For filmmakers and for people who love to shoot things. On the 27th of July, YouTube, in association with Scott, the great Hollywood producer, is doing something called A Day in the Life. You know, a life. Sorry, is it Day in the Life? It's called. Sorry, let me just be sure. It's called Life in a Day. So basically, what they're saying is, on what particular day, take up your cell phone, your camera, and just document your life. What you're eating, what you are doing, and just upload it. So just go to YouTube and just type Life in a Day YouTube. Now, what is happening is that they're going to get entries from all around the world, and it's all going to be broadcast. Now, imagine what that could do for you if your footage gets selected. Now, what I'm saying is, we all need to be open to these opportunities, you know, whether it's a filmmaker, whether you're a creative, because a lot of things are happening around the world. Subscribe to things, follow accounts that do what you do on Instagram. Don't just follow celebrities' accounts that are, you know, that you know, it's not just checking out what you're wearing and, oh, what bag is he wearing today? What shoes are they wearing? No, look for opportunities that will help you grow. Look for opportunities. So if you're a photographer, what are the 10 best Instagram photography channels you follow? Follow them. Opportunities are abound. You know, there are even international bodies giving out grants to creators, knowing that COVID has put them in a situation where they don't have the means to create. So I think everybody, is a question of, you know, being aware and being intelligent and being, you know, opening your eyes to the world around you, especially, you know, online, what's happening online. That would actually help, you know, a lot in gets you from where you are to where you want to be.
I like that. You know, when I asked the question, I didn't expect this much detail. So I hope you guys are taking notes, because you would definitely need this, filmmakers as well. There's a question here from Ifeturi, and she wants to know, she said, how was Red TV able to produce and launch a new season of The Men's Club during the lockdown? What steps did you put in place to carry this out, since everything has gone virtual? So
all right, so very interesting question. Thank you for that question. Now, we had started shooting season 3 of The Men's Club before lockdown. Unfortunately, like we all know, in the pandemic, a lot of things had to pretty much, you know, be on pause. Now,
Yeah.
we, as the lockdown said, is so what we did was we put together most essential crew members. So, for instance, if we had 5 people handling lights, we reduced that to 1, 2 people. If they had 3 people, so we just reduced, strategically reduced the number of crew. Then we got them tested. So crew and cast were got tested for COVID-19, and thankfully all of them tested negative. And we put them in a secure location where we're able to manage the production and finish everything. So we took a lot of safety protocols. We had to sanitize the sets. Everybody, social distancing rules applied. In terms of how people were positioned on set from a production standpoint. So these are little things that we did and helped us. So thankfully, we had done about 80% of it before COVID, and we've finalized the 20% that was left, while when lockdown was being eased. So this was how we're able to pretty much make this happen. And because at the end of the day, we have a duty to our fans to make sure that we deliver excellence, and we're not going to let COVID stop that. So in a nutshell, that's pretty much how we're able to navigate those waters and make sure that we delivered the episode, and the season, which you're going to start to experience from the 22nd of July.
Oh, I love that. We can't wait.
Yeah,
Okay.
we can't wait.
Yeah. We have a question from Kumi, and it's a funny one. So she's saying that during the lockdown, she's an event planner. During the lockdown, she wasn't able to work because we were all indoors. And she said that she has tried to connect to her customers via social media. It's not working because there are no events. So what can she do in terms of storytelling? How can she reinvent herself?
Fantastic question. So, I said opportunities have shifted. You need to follow the opportunities. Now, lately, people are beginning. Now, some people who are pretty much invested and people who are invested in event logistics and event planning have realized that Zoom, Blue Jeans, Skype, Microsoft Teams is the new convergence point. People are having parties on Zoom. People are having. So why don't you? So one interesting way is to figure out how you can curate an experience for somebody online. What are the technologies you can harness to make somebody's online event memorable? When you think about that, because I realized that there are people who started selling virtual sets where you can purchase virtual sets that can give you, if you want something that's celebratory, if you want something that's, so those are ideas you can begin to think of and say, okay, you know what, we might not be able to gather physically, but hey guys, it doesn't take the fun out of gathering, we can gather online, but here's how we can do it. So you provide instances. For instance, if you're able to, I know this is going to sound technical, it's a bit technical, but augmented reality has given us opportunities to insert a lot of elements in our video surroundings. You can explore that. What are the ways as an event person, what ways can you actually engage? What are the unique things that you bring to setting up a Zoom thing and making it an alternative, that kind of thing. So for instance, rather than have the person who is the celebrant doing everything, saying, okay, we'll set it up for you, we'll have this set of design for you, we'll do this kind of curate this kind of experience. Now, it might not necessarily answer all your questions or pretty much, but it's the conversation that has started about how you can be inventive and be innovative about diversifying what you do, that kind of thing. And I think also everybody now, I think, should embrace technology regardless of what you're doing, from whatever it is you're across the value chain, embrace technology, read up. There are crash courses on machine learning. There are crash courses on, augmented reality. Now, like for instance, augmented reality has, pretty much revolutionized how we do interior designs. On your phone, there's some, if you're using an iOS phone or even an Android phone, there's something called Measure. You can measure spaces. You can see how a sofa will look in your living space, So imagine you could do that as an event planner, that kind of thing. So just create an experience that is unforgettable. So I think these are innovative ways you can start to look out for, in ways that can diversify your business and take it to pretty much another level. So, yeah.
I like that. So this is a question from Uche, and Uche is interested. Uche is interested in being a filmmaker and wants you to advise on how you should go about it. What the first steps you should take?
Okay, he wants to be a filmmaker or he's a filmmaker?
Wants to be a filmmaker, or that's what I read.
Okay, he wants
Wants
to
to
be
be
a
a
film. Okay.
filmmaker. So he has
I
interest in
mean,
film.
so it's simple. I think that was it Martin Scorsese or who said, but a famous director once said, or I think it's Quentin Tarantino. He says, look, if you have a story to tell, then you have what it takes to be a filmmaker. What it simply means is filmmaking essentially taking that story that is in your head and using a certain system, established system, to bring that story to millions of people. That's what it is. So I think the first step is really because filmmaking is emotional, it's also technical. There's certain things that you need to understand around screenwriting. It involves cinematography. It involves a lot of things. So I think the best way to start is pretty much to read up all you can. There are online courses that are free. You can enroll if you have some money to spend. You can enroll, like for instance, we have a bunch of we have places in Nigeria like if you feel that you really want to push yourself, the New York Film Academy does 4 weeks courses. Learn how to become a director of proper filmmaker. They take you through the process of what it's about, the delicate nature of telling stories, what directing is about, why your story is important. And the important thing is everybody's story is important. The problem is that nobody knows how to bring that story to the world. So filmmaking, and in our own way, we're all filmmakers because every day we play out our own script in our lives. So at the end of the day, taking that extra step is what makes you a filmmaker. So my advice to Uche is go online, look for courses around filmmaking. I've given you an example of one, Del York Film Academy. It's Nigeria-based. There's New York Film Academy that's quite popular. You go online, they're doing very affordable short film courses. You can do in a month, you do in 3 months, and you get the best of it.
Okay, I hope you I hope you took this, Chinna. So we have a question from Gwemi Sola. Gwemi Sola wants to know, she just wants to understand what the job of a creative director is. So what's a day in the life of Obinna like?
Okay, so thank you for that question. So a creative director is somebody essentially who is at the heart of creating ideas. So he conceives an idea and he's able to take that idea through a journey. So an idea is only an idea, but the critical steps of actualizing that idea is essentially what I do. So an idea for how we should talk about the show we want to do. What are the things we want to do? Okay, so we have that show, but how do we bring that show? How do we talk about the story in that show in such a way that people can actually understand it? Also, a creative director generally is so let me just track back a bit. So it's something that was coined in the annals of in advertising. Creative director is somebody who oversees a team of art directors. Now, art directors are pretty much the ones who have the skills to merge text with images, creating visuals for brands. So that whole the whole team is managed by a creative director. But today we have situations where creative director is pretty much somebody who brings the X factor in terms of edgy, creative ideas. Like for instance, Rihanna at some point was the creative director of Puma. Do you guys know that?
Yeah.
will.i.am, was creative director for another brand. I think it was Adidas or so. So what happens is that you can, you pretty much set the creative tone for a particular brand. So how they speak, their tone of voice, how the brand is perceived. So pretty much, so creative directors have become pretty much like, if you can say, so if you black ops when it comes to if you understand how the military and how covert operations work in America. So black ops, so somebody who's coming to do a very serious job in a very short time, that kind of thing. So essentially, creative directors are people who actually bring together this big idea and bring it to life. Now, for me, I cut across many things for my daily job. So I'm doing a lot of creative design sometimes. Sometimes I'm brainstorming with my executive producer and my team, come up with creative ideas to push our shows and things like that. So that's, in a nutshell, that's pretty much what typically, the terrain of being a creative director is about.
Oh, great. Okay. Let's see. I think I'm getting one more question. So this is from Oyin Kosola.
Okay.
Oh, she's basically saying she's not. She's saying I think you've treated this question. She's saying she's not in the creative space, and
Okay.
she wants to ask about her competitors in her industry. And her industry is, oh wow, she's an influencer. Okay. So Inkosola is an influencer and she has competitors in her industry, and she just wants to know how to create a niche for herself, how to stand out,
Okay.
because they all seem to be doing the same thing. So
The
how
same
does she
thing.
create a niche for herself?
Yeah. So I think the first question, like we said, remember when we said, what we said initially, why are you an influencer? Why? Because a lot of people have a lot of reasons why they're doing it, some extra income, But I think once you find out why you're doing it, it gives you a set of options,
Yeah.
and you begin to see that, okay, what are the things now when you ask yourself why, you realize that there's certain things that come to you naturally. What are those things that not come to you naturally? What are those abilities that you have? How do you do things differently? Sometimes it could be a complex equation, but I think the journey starts from why. Then the next thing is, what are the things that I can do naturally, I can do easily? What are the things that come naturally to me, And again, it's always great to be your authentic self and not try to copy. I understand there are a lot of formats for how influencers create their content, but
Yeah.
try and be different. Yes, there's certain things you can copy, but you can stylize. There's not, and to be honest, look, I'm somebody that believes in authenticity 100%, but sometimes you may need to borrow an idea from somewhere, but make it better, improve on it, that kind of thing. I think at the end of the day, it's pretty much about finding what is unique to you, harnessing your abilities, and staying with it. Another thing to say is, there's certain times when certain things people do online or certain things people do may not necessarily be something that is welcoming or something that people connect with.
Yeah.
Initially, let me give an example. We have a phenomenon called the Kurodu boys. Those kids in the Kurodu who replicate trailers, who replicate fashionistas, they replicate what happens on the red carpet. Now, for a long time, a lot of us would have said, what are these kids? I mean, they should go to school and just stay in class. Oh, come on. But you see, what I'm trying to point out here is about consistency. They kept on doing it and doing it. Now, what pretty much became the aha moment was when they replicated the Extraction trailer on Netflix, featured Chris Hemsworth. What happened?
Yes.
Chris Hemsworth
reposted
it. The Russo brothers, who are the directors on Avengers, gave them an open check and invited them over for the Extraction 2 premiere. Now, the point here is you need to be deliberate. And Will Smith, by the way, because they had also done, did a remake of the trailer for Bad Boys 2. So the point here is you need to be consistent. What happens with a lot of us is that we start something we think is great. Yeah, a lot of people might not be, following you or might not really get what you're doing. But if you are consistent in doing it, suddenly people start, okay, wait, this person has been doing this. I mean, let's hear what maybe we should listen to what this person is trying to say. So that's my thing. 3 things. Why are you doing what you do? What is unique to you? What comes to you naturally? And third, be consistent at it.
I love that. Okay, I don't see any more questions. So I guess we've come to the end of today's session. Obinna, I'm hosting, but I learned so much. I learned so much from this session. Thank you so much for joining us today. It was definitely very enlightening. Everyone, if you have any questions, please send it to us via our social media channels on Instagram, Facebook, and LinkedIn. We're United Capital PLC. And on Twitter, we're United Cap. So please send us your questions. This video is going to be available to watch on YouTube. So you can obviously come back and just in case you skipped anything, you can rewatch and take your notes.
And guys, don't forget to subscribe to Red TV. Follow us on social media at Eat Red TV.
I love that. This is how you promote your brand, guys. This is how you promote your brand. Subscribe to Red TV. Subscribe to United Capital's YouTube page right now. And until next time, thank you very much. Oh, and make sure you are following the right pages, guys. If it's not verified, it is not United Capital, okay? All right. Thank you, Obina. You've been
July 22nd, guys. See you guys. Cheers. Bye-bye.
All right. Bye.